Hi, everybody. So I want you to welcome Kelley, my favorite astrologer, and we're going to talk about the full moon today, and it's coming up. And remember that astrologically, this is like a mirror into the energies of all the souls that are creating what is happening right now here
Mm.
on the planet. And I'm excited to hear what's coming next. So,
Well, I love following the lunar rhythm, the new
mhm,
moon, full moon, whatever that's about. It does have a biological effect and it also helps us tune in, now and again. And so when the sun is in a sign, there's always a new moon and there's always a full moon. But this month, July 2024, there have been two full moons in Cancer, Capricorn moon, and this is the second one. There was one at the very beginning, the day after solstice, at the beginning of Cancer, and this is at the very end. So it's interesting to have two of them. That doesn't happen very often. And I think it's especially cool based on kind of what's happening. And we're going to look at how powerful this full moon is. So
awesome.
let me start to screen share here. Okay. So here's the moon pattern. And we see the full moon over here at 29 degrees. So that's the very last degree of Capricorn. And here's the sun over here at 29 Cancer, the very last degree. So we're doing this is the full moon for July 21st. So the day after, the sun is going to move into Leo. And within 2 hours of this full moon, the moon's going to move into Aquarius and conjunct Pluto that's right there. One of the, really deep transformational energies that represent the process that the collective consciousness is in right now in terms of major transformation. And it went into Aquarius and out again a couple of times already. And after this full moon, within September 1st, I think it is, it's going to go backwards. We call this retrograde, the apparent, from our point of view, looking like the planet goes backwards and it's going back over territory it's been in already. So Pluto is retrograde, and that's what this little symbol means, retrograde. It's not prescription, it's retrograde. And on September 1st or 2nd, Pluto's going back into Capricorn, where it was starting in 2008, and it's finishing up. It's like the last 6 weeks of Pluto in Capricorn. It's just finishing, taking the whole system down, clearing the deck so we can rebuild. Not to say we haven't had a chance to start rebuilding already, because Pluto has been in Aquarius a couple of times. It was last year, starting in March into June. That was 2023. And then in uh, February, oh dear, I might be getting this wrong. Dates, dates. Anyway, quite a bit of this year it's been in Aquarius again. And now it's going back into Capricorn just to finish things up during this upcoming season, September into the middle of November. Meanwhile, this full moon is grabbing right on to Pluto and saying, okay, what do we need and what do we not need? Need is a word that Cancer can be part of, like what is for our growth, what will be healthy, what will help us grow, what do we need, So it's like food, it's like care, it's like love, it's the things that we need. And Capricorn is like, we don't need certain things are getting in the way. Certain systems and structures are not supportive and in fact are corrupt and working against our growth. But we're talking on a personal level too, the last couple of moons that we've been talking about, honey, I've been talking a lot about the need to kind of let go of stuff. And, that's emotional stuff. That's old habits and patterns. That's also stuff in your closet that you're not using. This moon is saying, keep going on that. That's a really good project. So, because Capricorn is about design, it's about our structures, and certain, clutter is not helpful to a clear mind. Do you find that?
Yeah, I definitely do. I know when I get too many things like built up on the table or, whatever you're doing, you're moving stuff around. If you don't clear it fairly soon, you start to feel it and you look at it and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's your energy.
Yeah. And if you're not using something or you don't like it anymore, or it's a old something, or if it's broken, I mean, think about renewing the energy, because that's what Pluto is about. It's about renewal. It's about destruction and renewal. And in Aquarius, this is a whole new energy that's coming in. And we're going to find out in these next few months what's getting in the way and what we don't need, what isn't going to contribute to this new energy that we're moving into, and we've been feeling already to some extent. So again, within a couple of hours after this full moon, it's going to go into Aquarius and be right with Pluto. So this could be a very interesting day. So the main dynamic between the planets that's going on with this full moon has to do with Chiron. Now, Chiron is not a full-fledged planet. It's this odd little body in the solar system that is partly an asteroid and partly a comet. There's just no, category that it fits into. So they're calling them a centaur object. There's a bunch of them now. And the centaurs, in mythology are half horse, half human. So
Mhm.
Chiron is one of those, and it is known as the wounded healer. So it's right now it's in an active dynamic. These red lines represent 90-degree angles that are manifestational angles. This is what's happening. And also you got to work at it, you got to step up. So it's like the challenge of the moment and the challenge of this full moon. And Chiron is just about to turn retrograde. So when a planet is doing that, it doesn't move very far in the zodiac. It just sort of stays right there and zooms in, and we feel it. It's like the energy is so potent. So it goes forward on the 26th of July. So that's not even a whole week after this full moon. And it's been zeroed in this at 23 Aries, some of June, all of July, and all of August. It's right there. It's just so zeroed in. And so there are Sabian symbols, which I've shared sometimes, which are images that describe the quality of that particular degree of the 360 degrees of the zodiac circle. And when we look for the Sabian symbols, we round up. So Chiron is at 23.5 degrees. So we round up to 24. And here's the image that it's been really focused on: an open window and a net curtain blowing in the shape of a cornucopia. This is really promising. And it's been
Mhm.
focused right in on this since sometime in June, right around solstice, and all through July and into August, through all of August, actually. So it's really zeroed in, and it's particularly activated on this full moon. So this is a
Mhm.
turning. This is like sometimes what Chiron does in our personal experience, it will bring up symptoms in the body to let us know where the energy is stuck or not aligned with the spiritual, mental, emotional, physical alignment that is the most magical. Synchronicity strikes again. And, that's how we're supposed to live. So sometimes it lets us know with symptoms. And it's not just a physical issue when Chiron is active, it's on another level. It could be emotional, it could be mental, it could be spiritual. So you've been talking quite a bit about these big shadows we've been going through and about the healing that we've been doing. And this is kind of a critical moment of that. The sun and the moon are at the last degree. So it's sort of like a now or never sort of feeling in a certain way. And so this is this is a full moon. So we have 2 more weeks as the moon wanes before we experience the next new moon, which is on August 4th. So we have these 2 more weeks to clean our closets, kind of deal with some of the stuff that's coming up and work through whatever static is getting in the way. And also to appreciate all the magical moments and synchronicities that tend to come up when Chiron is around and help, assure us that, yep, you're on the right path, you're doing it. And Aries is a lot about action. It's a lot about doing it. It's a lot about doing the new, fresh thing. And that's what Pluto's looking for, the new, fresh thing, not the old way. And we can't accommodate other people. Aries is so much about staying in our own integrity. And it's been there for quite a number of years now. And it's got a couple of more years to go. It's in Aries longer than any sign that, in its orbit. So that's interesting that we have, this longer phase of centering ourselves and being in our center and being in our clarity and really honoring our integrity and being from there, expressing from there, living from there.
Mm-hmm.
So
many good things in there. So
I have a picture
go
of
ahead.
Chiron. Let's look at that
Yeah,
while you
let's do
talk.
that. So,
What's
um,
happening?
oh,
There we go.
oh, there he is. Oh, he's so pretty. So, I just wanted to bring up one thing. A lot of us have been the wounded healer.
Mm.
So if you think about it, what are we doing right now? We're healing. So Chiron is holding space for that. And I am a firm believer that every single planet and every star and everything that we see in the sky is represented, it's an actual being. So you have a soul that is doing that up there. They are projecting that image for you. And we've seen that, in some of the stars. People have been able to capture it. Like they've actually seen the being inside of the star unfold itself. So Chiron is a being and he represents the wounded healer, which is what's healing right now. So he's being present for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the teacher healer in a shamanic sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of as you are on your path of healing and wholeness, you find how it is you can help other people. I think of Chiron as kind of your vision quest in life. And it's a beautiful, beautiful energy. It's the wounds which bless us and heal us. It's our work, a piece of our work, a piece of our healing and bringing forward the fuller essence of our beings.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it's awesome. And Pluto and Aquarius, that feels extremely potent, like you were saying. So I see Pluto as a being who's very straightforward and we're going to get it done. And very honest, but very clear about what they're thinking. And it feels male to me. So Pluto feels
Chiron,
male.
both to me, all the astrological archetypes, let us say, have both a male and a female aspect. Some of them are more
Yeah.
obvious than others. And for me, Pluto is is Shiva, the god of destruction, who dances the dances of creation and destruction over long periods of time. Pluto has a 248-year orbit, which, based on, some of the new discoveries, isn't all that long in the end, but where Pluto is now goes back to 1776. And, I mentioned this before, that the United States is having its very first Pluto return when Pluto comes back to where it was. And no one individual experiences that in a lifetime. So,
Yeah.
so a feminine aspect of Pluto would be, say, Kali, that is the feminine aspect who cuts off whatever is no longer life-giving and vital. So to me, it has that kind of quality too. But we experience these in our own individual ways. And in Aquarius is a more sort of conceptual masculine sign.
Yeah.
So it's going to empower that Shiva quality of the masculine, which is the center point of a circle that is just holding the space, just holding consciousness. And the Shakti, the Shiva Shakti is the divine feminine who expresses from that place and is Mother Nature and all of the play and illusions that we experience, being in the world we are.
Mhm. Yeah. I just love it because they're balancing each other out and they're really
Yes.
driving things forward. So, yeah. And, just to realize that they're beings too, like they have their own kind of energy. And that's how all of this probably got started, was tapping
Mm.
into the energy of each constellation, each planet. So it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we look at, Capricorn into Aquarius, where, Pluto's been going back and forth here, it brings us from the form in, it's almost like we can imagine that this is the urn or the vessel that has been created for the Aquarian waters to pour forth.
Mhm. Oh
It's
yeah.
an energetic, it's definitely an energetic. It's not a water sign, it's actually an air sign. So it's about conceptualization. It's about more, the symbol for Aquarius is the like two lines that go like that together. And so people think it's water, but it's not, it's electricity.
That makes so
So
much more sense. Yeah.
yes, for Aquarius, it does.
Yeah.
Um, Oh, I did want to mention something about Chiron. Remember, just a few months ago, there was the total eclipse in Aries, earlier in Aries at 19 degrees, which was exactly conjunct Chiron. Chiron was like right in that eclipse. And that was a very powerful eclipse. And we are still in the energy of that eclipse.
Yeah.
So, and now Chiron's, kind of, activated really strongly on this moon, and it's going retrograde. It's saying, okay, zero in and go back over what all has happened since that eclipse. And where are you at now? Kind of energy. And um, I follow this woman named Stargazer Lee, L-I Lee, and she
Mhm.
combines Mayan astrology with stargazing, like, the real sky, and also with Western astrology. And on that eclipse, she made this Chiron cordial flower essence that she'd been waiting years to make, and made it right on that eclipse. And I had to get some. So it's about, and here's how she describes it. It infuses us with quiet, mature willingness in actively embodying our gifts in each emergent moment.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, gifts are really a big topic right now. It's something that I actually have a class that I'm doing for people for gifts, and I'll put it below with bridging higher consciousness. But bringing in your own gifts and basically uncovering them is what we're doing. And that eclipse was a massive doorway. So
Yeah,
we really stepped
that's
through
just
it.
what Chiron is about. Chiron is about bringing out our gifts and uncovering what's ever in the way of that, from whatever
Mhm.
wound has gotten in the way of that. So,
Yeah.
because that's the wounds and the blessings, and it's a process. It's of doing that. And that's why being in the moment. Chiron to me is the be here now aspect, because if we're going to align our spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, we've got to be in the moment. We can't be looking behind and remembering stuff. We can't be looking too far ahead. We'll trip over our own feet. So being in the moment, in this emergent moment, is particularly potent right now.
Oh yeah. It's huge. This is fun. I like this reading.
So, I did want to point out a couple of other things. One is that, remember the last time I was pointing out July 15th as a potent day
Mhm.
because Mars the action planet was going to be conjunct Uranus, the revolutionary unexpected development, and Algol, a star that has to do with huge cycles of repression and suppression, particularly of the feminine, but the eye, Medusa. So often it's associated with really violent events, particularly beheadings, because of that myth of Medusa. She was beheaded by Perseus, who's holding her snaky head in his hand.
Yeah.
And the alpha is the eye of Medusa that's penetrating and looks right at us and sees through us. So there's something that was going on. And 2 days before it was exact, we had a major, kind of event in the United States. So that was part of this activation, which is still, we're talking here on the 17th, still in play for the
Oh
rest
yeah.
of this week. Yeah. And then we have Chiron going retrograde on the, I keep forgetting, on the 19th. So on the 26th, sorry. So that moment could be some kind of culmination. And I want to go back to that image, about the open window and the curtain in the shape of a cornucopia.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you saw some of those images that were from that rally where Trump got shot at, that there was a flag that got tangled up and what looked like an angel. So Chiron is like that. It's a manifestational energy that like is like a clue to what is really like what is there that could be unseen, kind of almost like a doorway. Yes, like an open window, like we have on this full moon. And I whatever you think about, what's going on, we don't really know. That's part of Pluto's like helmet of invisibility that Pluto has when he comes up, above the, surface. So,
Yeah.
and no nonsense with Pluto. So this particular aspect is Mars isn't there anymore. Mars has moved into Gemini by this full moon. And it's conjuncting Sedna, which is way far out, has an 11,000, 12,000 year orbit. And I mentioned Sedna last time, I think, the goddess who lives at the bottom of the Arctic Sea. And she is, the sea creatures were made out of her body parts. And she has a lot to do with deep ecology, especially of the waters, But in this case of the air, she's just moved into Gemini. And Mars is activating that. But the main reason I want to bring it up is because I want to look forward ahead in time a little bit. I want to timeline jump with you, honey, for a moment.
Okay.
And first of all, point out that this Uranus activation, which is about the higher consciousness and about bringing higher consciousness into embodiment, is what Taurus is about. And that's kind of one of the things we've been doing since 2019. Bring higher consciousness in and embodying. It's so important with these waves of light coming in to, kind of recalibrate our physicality into this alignment that's also supporting the earth and her evolution. So, on this full moon, this 26-degree Taurus activation is in one of these squares, one of these activating moments with Mercury that has to do with the news. So this is again suggesting that, say, like the news of what's going on July 21st is going to be pretty revolutionary or surprising or shocking or whatever. And
Yeah.
this whole week, we have this whole week until 2 weeks, until the next new moon. But Mercury's only there for a day or two. So this is a big news day as far as I'm concerned. So I want to look a little ahead to the next year when Mercury is basically at about this same place. And I want to show you something. Here's Ceres, Mother Ceres. She's very active too. So Ceres, I talked about maybe last time as being the Earth Mother and the motherland, Earth Mother. She helps grow the grain and feed the people, body and soul. She's the cycle of seasons, and she's so much about, the mother who protects, all our relations. And she too is very strong and activated on this full moon, like she was on the new moon 2 weeks ago. She's very big this month, in June into July. And there she is on the State House in Vermont. So
Oh yeah.
she's goddess of Vermont, and I think that's true in Missouri. I think they also have Ceres on, or the goddess of agriculture, on the top of their state house. Anyway, not to be too U.S. centric here, but yeah, there's Ceres. She's an asteroid in the asteroid belt, but she's been named a dwarf planet, so her astronomical stature has been upgraded, let us say. So,
Wow.
yeah. So this is what I want to show you. This is a chart for September 1st, 2025, just a little over a year from now. Algol is at the same degree for like 72 years. So this is not, a big deal. But Mercury is right about where it is on the full moon coming up. And this is it takes a year to go around the sun. So it's going to be right back. This is 27. So it's going to yet again be activated by Algol. But by then, we see that the planet Uranus is not in Taurus anymore. It's in Gemini with Sedna. So the level of this is Uranus and Neptune and Pluto are what we call the outer planets that have to do with the transition going on in the collective consciousness. So we've just been talking about how Pluto is changing sign, and by then it's full on in Aquarius, and it's going to be there for 20 years. Uranus changes every 7 years. So next year, it's going into Gemini, and it's changing another, I was talking about Uranus as higher mind being embodied in Taurus. This is Gemini. This is going to change, the way we're perceiving things and communication and how we get around. Gemini is the god of commerce. It's the god of it's moving very fast. Mercury moves fast. It's the fleet-footed god, messenger of the gods. So this is going to bring in perhaps more new information, but it's also going to be information that's connected to this deep ecology and suggests that we're going to be learning new things. So we're very close to the edge of that here. Uranus actually goes into Gemini in July, and it goes back and forth a bit from 2025 to 2026. So it's a change of consciousness and one of our global themes. So we're finishing out Pluto and Capricorn. And then by next summer, we're finishing out just about Uranus and Taurus. So both of these planets that are in Earth signs are going into air signs, which is more about concept, communication, information, perception. So it's like we're going to almost have different kind of glasses on. Our eyes are going to see different things. What have you been saying? The veil is coming down, so something about that. And again, connected to Sedna, this has to do with, maybe learning more about the deep seas, about other deep levels of earth energy and engaging with them in some way. I don't even know how to put this into words yet.
Yeah, I feel like at that point we may be, at least some of us, may be really starting to work with ET energy, with ETs, with creating the new world. And some people will just be starting to get comfortable learning that we're in a grand awakening, we're in this great awakening. So it just depends on what level you're in. But I think things are going to feel really wonderful by next year. Like I feel
Yeah.
like we're moving through the toughest part right now. Yeah.
Well, there's and then the third of these three outer planets that are the signs of the times and represent collective consciousness shift is Neptune. So Neptune right now is at the last degree of Pisces and stop there saying, okay, let's clean up some of this stuff. Let's take down more of the veils of illusion and open that window and pull back the curtain. So it goes into Aries, and it goes into Aries at the very end of March. So that's really close. It's been in Pisces since 2011, 2012. So this is another big shift. And it's going into Aries, a fire sign.
Yeah.
So, and it's doing that even as the planet Saturn is going into Aries. And Saturn is so different than Neptune. Neptune is, well, on a negative level, it's illusion, confusion, delusion, it's fake news, it's like where we fool ourselves, it's where we're projecting, it's where we fantasize, it's where we're unrealistic, it's where we get into addictions and we deny, and we don't want to deal with stuff. So it has a pretty bad, reputation, but it also has the high side, which is spiritual, which is the subtle energy fields and tuning into that, and of kind of these bigger, like the mythic world and the mystic world. So it's beyond our senses, but we can feel it. We're starting to sense it more. It's maybe our subtle senses. So
Yeah.
that's Neptune, and Saturn is like reality check. So Saturn is saying, I am going to manifest the energy here of Neptune. so you can actually be experiencing it. And this is so new. Can you believe it? Almost kind of thing.
Wow.
And that's a good deal of the spring. Even
Yeah.
into, yeah, even into 2025 a bit. But Saturn changing sign too is like, here, and look, it's at 0, 0 that day. So that's one of the reasons I made this chart for September 1st, because it shows all these planetary shifts, Neptune going into Aries, Uranus going into Gemini, and Pluto in Aquarius. And these are all in a very positive alignment with each other, which is basically saying that the collective shift of consciousness and the signs of the times are in a very positive flow with new information and new energy.
Yeah. I feel like that's the point where we're going to start to feel and settle in to the new world. Like we're going to be excited for the future, and people will kind of adopt a new way of living at that point. Just kind of creating whatever project they're doing, whatever passion is coming up for them. And at this point, they're going to know that they're okay, you know.
Yes,
So that's
yes,
like a
yes.
settling in into a great relationship. Like you found your soulmate and you're settling in and you're happy. I feel like this is when they realize how much has changed and how great it is.
Yeah. Yeah, all the new stuff. We'll have gotten through some of the what is it when you need to get trained to use new systems and stuff like that. And this
Yeah,
is the change in all of the systems. This is definitely new education systems. This is definitely new all kinds of systems, because the
everything.
old ones are gone. It's
Yeah.
it's going to be a shock, and it's still a transition into 2026, but this is I look at this chart and it's a bit of a mind blower for me that it is like all these outer planets are changing sign one year, the next year, the next year. I mean, it's a 1, 2, 3 dance that is like changes everything, because it's the consciousness shift on a global collective level is
Yeah.
really, reached a new level. And this is opening up into something that is exciting. That's one of the key words for Uranus. Uranus can be shocking and whoa, but it can be so exciting. It's like,
Mhm.
whoa, it's like sometimes Uranus feels like anxiety, but when you turn that coin over, it's excitement. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a clue. That was helpful for me when I was going through a lot, big life change. And my chiropractor said, "This is not anxiety." I said, "I'm so anxious." It is nervous system. Okay, so we do need to kind of, maybe that's part of the healing we need to be doing, has to do with our nervous system and our, how information is moving through our bodies, and how our more spiritual bodies are interfacing in some way.
Mhm.
But it's excitement. Excitement is a whole different attitude.
Yeah, it's like the foundation is there. People can stand on it and they know that they're taken care of as they like spring into creating all of the new stuff. It feels very exciting. Like a
Very
town that's
freeing.
being built, like
Yeah,
all the activity going on and stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun at this point.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's going to be like, wow, I can do this now. This can happen now,
Mhm.
and um, and again, the reason I brought this chart, this particular chart, was because Saturn is involved here, and that the Saturn Neptune combination manifests a dream. And then also because Mercury right now on this full moon is in the same place it's going to be on this date, these couple of dates in next year. So this means to me, and it's activating this dynamic here that's even more active now. It's opening up something, something has really shifted in the last week. And there's a little more of that going on for this coming week. And then where are we? But the information, the stuff going on now has repercussions to this where we're ending up here. And perhaps we are, kind of I like that phrase of timeline jumping. I kind of like that.
Yeah,
And just to think about this chart and these planets changing so fast, you know. So that's very engaging. That's very, yes, exciting. And
it is
the
exciting.
window is opening now. The window is opening now, and that it's bringing in abundance is like great. So I'm going to go back to the chart for, that I started with here, and
Uh-huh.
and
The
that is,
cornucopia is such a massive abundance symbol as well, because, it's basically like a seashell spiral, which is how everything is formed in the universe, with all the fruit just like falling out of it. And that's the abundance that's coming.
yeah,
And that abundance is also what's going to be the foundation
yeah.
for the last chart that you showed us.
Yes. Yes, it's like whatever you need, here it is. We
Yeah.
have to be receptive. Sometimes Cancer kind of hunkers in and doesn't open up. So that's part of what we need to do is open up. And again, it goes back to the Aquarius being the water carrier. It's not the water itself, but it has to do with the vessel that carries the water, which could be that cornucopia as well, pouring it wherever it's needed.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful energy and goes back to the great mother too, who is the all giver.
Yeah. And also, water is the symbol for consciousness.
Mm,
So
mm,
abundant consciousness, you know.
mm,
And
mm.
we are also the body electric, which it sounds like, Aquarius is also representing that.
Yes. Yes, and
Yeah.
there's electricity in water, especially when you put salt in it.
Yes.
And oh, I had another idea about Sedna along this line, that if
Oh,
Sedna is the goddess of the deep seas, that it might have to do with the pristine waters that are underneath, really like deep under some of the sea. And these
yeah.
old ancient lakes that are, beautiful salt reservoirs and pristine water that is hidden in and protected in some way that we may find ways to drink. Love
Yeah. And
that.
if you think about it, that's humanity is that. Humanity
Yeah.
is that beautiful, pure consciousness. And that's the only way we really survive this density that we've been in. And now we're moving out of it. So we're coming back to the origin of what we were created for. So humanity is going home, and nobody's going back into that density again, because we learned what we needed to already. But it was quite an
Yeah.
undertaking to be there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we transform that density with a level of consciousness,
Yeah.
so that's beautiful. And again helps the earth, or the earth helps us. It's a two-way street. And
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
that must be why this is Ceres. A series it's at 11:11. So that's maybe one big reason I put it in
Oh,
there.
nice.
Yeah. So
Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
this
So any
feels really
questions?
good.
Oh, these lunations have been just full of the most exquisite choreography. So, and this Chiron activation, again, remembering that eclipse window, it's opening wider now. And that
Yeah.
cornucopia is coming through of those gifts we're both giving and receiving.
Yeah, and that's abundance in all ways. Like that's your gifts that have to do with your own soul and your
Mm,
own inner child. And that's the gifts that have to do with what, when you start realizing those, you're also going to be giving yourself the gift of abundance in your life from whatever way. Like it's going to be very circular. So, relationships and abundance in money or whatever currency we're using, just one thing after another, it's going to feel very supportive. So,
mhm. I
yeah,
feel like it's so imminent, and this full moon chart does seem to acknowledge that in these 2 weeks of the waxing moon, I mean the waning moon, like something is really going to be clicking in, and then when it's time, we'll look at the next new moon and see what's up.
yeah. So much fun. Thank you so much, Kelley. This was a really good one. And I like looking into the future a little bit like that. I'm glad you found that because it really helps people know where we're going and
Yeah,
have some kind of a time where, okay, around September next year, I'm going to feel happy and I'm going to
even
feel
March,
really supported. Yeah.
even
And it could be
March.
way
Yeah,
before that. Yeah.
yeah,
You could be
yeah.
feeling that way now if your consciousness is ready for that. Like I feel that way now.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
Yes, yes, and that's the timeline jump. We can, help bring this in through this window.
yeah,
So, yes, yeah,
yeah. And the collective, like the majority will feel it at that point. So when you go out in the world, it feels like it's going to be really nice,
yeah.
supportive, positive, exciting, all the good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these three planets are changing sign represent the collective consciousness. So that's all shifting, and
Mhm.
again, Pluto's going to be fully in Aquarius by the middle of November, and then the 25 to 26 is going to be the transition of the other two. And again, this doesn't happen altogether very often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fun.
All
Thank you.
together now. Where we go one, we go all. We're
Absolutely.
all this together. Okay,
Beautiful.
well, thank you.
Thank you, Kelley.
And have
Okay.
fun, everybody. Let the beauty in, let the abundance in, and shine it out.
Yes. Yep. Let it all in. Okay. Well, I guess we'll say bye. We'll leave you with a picture of that and just have an absolutely beautiful rest of your day. And thank you so much, Kelley, because I feel like this is really good for people. So thank
I
you.
hope so. Okay.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.